There's other people that may be dealing with the same thing. Let me see what I could do. I put my little table up and I started selling my products. Like,
Mhm.
didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I knew I was selling. I am that girl that I always say I'm shy. Like,
Mm.
I don't want to sell. I don't want to. And here I am now learning how to sell a product and push a product to people so that they could take their dollars out and buy it and
Mhm.
trust me. I did it wrong because I was that person that you brought up earlier that wanted to do all the little things right, like have the pretty website, have the pretty labels, and worrying about those things before I presented like here I am, here's my product.
I had not heard the story of like how you went out to sell. I knew that like selling the product was your number one priority.
Mhm.
And I think you got right was selling the product was the priority. Before Coco Elan existed as a brand, what was going on in your life that led you to actually start this?
Oh my gosh. So I don't know if I ever told you I have a skin condition. My skin condition is called hidradenitis suppurativa, or HS for short. And I used to get these like infections under my arms and in my groin area, like when I was like my late 20s. And I just thought it was something that happened. So anyway, fast forward, I go to my doctor and she diagnosed me with this thing. And some of the ways that she said that I could manage my flare ups so that I don't get them as often was to stop using antiperspirants and to stop using disposable razors. Um, and so that's what I did. I went to the store, I bought, the first natural deodorant I could find, and I was like, oh, I smell. So anyway, went through about maybe like 5 to 10 different deodorants. And I was like, yeah, if I'm going to have to use this like for the rest of my life, I need to come up with my own deodorant. And that's where it all started. I got in the kitchen, started whipping up some stuff, started, Googling ingredients, and I just started using my own deodorant. Yeah.
I think you told me a version of that at some point, but I don't think I knew the full of it.
Yeah.
So you were making it for yourself to solve
I
your
was
own.
making it for myself, and then my husband just so happened to use it one day, and he was like, "Babe, like, this really works." Like, I was like, "Yeah, it is supposed to," because I was funky using other things, and he was like, "You need to sell this," and I was like, "Oh," like the stress of it all, right?
Uh-huh.
So I paused on that, but I was like, you know what, you're right. There's other people that may be dealing with the same thing. Let me see what I could do. And
Mhm.
that's how I got started.
So tell me the first version of the business, like when you first started out the gate, were you
Oof,
just selling deodorants? Like, how were you
go
getting
ahead.
customers?
Yes. I think I may have Googled that too. Like, how do I start a business? Like it was like get you an LLC. So I was like, okay, let me check. Let me get that. And I asked a friend that I knew that was in business, and she was like, "Just go out there and sell. Just sell, sell, sell." I was like, "Okay." So I whipped up some batches. I looked up some farmers markets, and I went to them, and I put my little table up, and I started selling my products. Like, didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I knew I was selling. I was selling a product, and that was it. So I did that probably for the first year in business. I was doing maybe like two to three markets a month, um, just selling my deodorant, and that's all I knew was just to sell it. So I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm selling this, but why am I not making any money?
Mhm.
That's when you start looking into the bank account and you're like, okay, there's money there. It goes up and then it goes down. It goes up and it goes down. And I was like, I need help. I need help.
Mhm.
And talked to a friend, and actually, that's how I kinda it led to you, Sierra. I think you
Uh-huh.
were one of the first helps I, sought out, as well as SCORE. SCORE was something someone else told me about to look it up. Um, so I had these 3 70-year-old mentors. It was a white man, it was an Indian man, and it was an Asian man, and then they were like, you need to go to a fitness gym, and you need to go here." And so, yeah, I had all the things like, "Okay, Imma do this, Imma do this," and so, anyway, that's how it all started.
This, I also didn't know about your 370-year-old mentor.
Yes.
It's like, it's, so, I don't know, I don't even have the word for good, like, that's just such an elementary word, but I'm so glad that your friend told you just go sell it. Um, I cannot tell you the number of business owners that I talk to who are like, "What should I do?" And I say, "You need to go sell it." And then they say, "But I need a website, but I need this, but I need this, but I need this, but I," and then they give me like a long list of all of the things that they need before they can sell it. And I'm like, "Do you have the product? Can you offer the service? Go
Right.
sell."
Yeah.
And what like, I think one of the reasons I say for people to go sell it is I say, well, you get data from that. Like you get 1, you prove that it's a viable business, but 2, you get data from it. So what were you learning? Like when you were out there at those markets and you were selling it, um, what were you learning about this as a business or what were you learning about your product in the process?
You know, the thing that I started to learn was, um that I would ask the questions, right? Like I would ask the customers, "Oh, well, what do you currently use?" And then they tell me like, "Oh, I use Native, I use so and so, but I want to support you." And so they use it. And then once I started getting my my customers that came back to me, and they're like, "Oh, girl, this stuff really works." So then I was like, "Okay," so then I was like, "Okay, well, maybe I need to." And this is me just not knowing about business, right? Like maybe I need to, if my stuff works as good as native, maybe I need to price it the same as native. Like I just, I'm just like, just, just, just winging it. I need to price it like native, and just learning that. Oh, I love the way your setup is. Like it is so pretty. It made me come over here. So I was like, okay, so like that brings customers to me, or like I just started learning on the job, right? um but I didn't know how to sell. Like I am that girl that I always say I'm shy. Like I don't want to sell. I don't want to. My friends would go do Toastmasters. I'm like, oh, I don't want to speak in front of nobody. That's just not me. And here I am now, learning how to sell a product and push a product to people so that they could take their dollars out and buy it and trust me. Then that was the other thing is I felt like I could do better, or I could sell my way by building trust with people, or just kind of being that homegirl, like, oh yeah, like you should really try it, just being just cool and at ease. And those are the things that I learned, how to sell, how to ask the questions so that I could get feedback, um, and just make my products better.
Like, I think you did it right. Like, you say it kind of like you didn't do it right, but I think that's the right way to do it.
Really?
Yes.
So,
People
the
think
reason why I asked you that, Tiara, is because I would often either see videos or talk to people and they're like, you need to build a team first. If you would have went out there and got an attorney, got all the people that master and what they do to do, then you could just sit back and be this multimillionaire. Like I was like, I did it wrong. It was not too late, but like I did it wrong because I was that person that you brought up earlier that wanted to do all the little things, right? Like have the pretty website, have the pretty labels, and worrying about those things before I presented like, here I am, here's my product. So I don't know.
There's there's I think when I met you, uh, what I like, I had not heard the story of, like, how you went out to sell, and I don't think you've ever shared that with me, but I knew that like, selling the product was your number 1 priority, and I think you got right, was selling the product was the priority. Maybe you did other things, like, maybe you did prioritize and stay too long on the website. Maybe you did, and I do think, because I even said this to you, I do think you waited too long to hire. Um, and also and also
Absolutely.
you went out and sold your product, and even when I would, like, be pushing you in the program, you were still out there selling your product, and even when I was like, "Should you be selling that way?" It didn't matter. Every time I talked to you, you were trying to sell it, even if it wasn't as efficient as it could be, even if it maybe wasn't quite as aligned to your revenue goals. But going out and selling it, you got that, like, that is business. To actually have an exchange of product or service for currency.
Right? That's the whole point of business, right?
Oh, business. And I think, like, the other thing that's, like, with even in the story that you told, the other reason why I feel like you got it right was because the things you were learning, like, if you're comparing me to native, then maybe I should be priced like native, or maybe I should be branded like native, or whatever it is, you were
Mhm.
listening to what people actually were giving you in terms of feedback, and then you were asking yourself, like, "What should I do?" But then you made a decision. That part, I think you got it right, and I see you continuously get it right. Like, it doesn't mean we always do the right, quote, unquote, "thing" in
In
business,
the
but
moments, right?
the essence of entrepreneurship, girl, you getting that right. Go out and sell something, learn from the data that you're getting, like, adjust and repeat, like, keep going, keep going.
Well, I appreciate that because when I tell you, and being an entrepreneur, you get down on yourself, or you don't give yourself the grace that you need because you're thinking, oh, I'm not doing this right, or I'm not where I want to be. So I appreciate that.
I hope to receive that. The was there like, so, like, you got into program, like, you got your 3 70-year-old mentors, you got
Yeah.
into a program. What was it like? Where was there a moment where you were like, even maybe it was before that, maybe it was after, where
Mhm.
you were like, "This could actually work." Like, what kept you kind of going on those early days that made you be like, "Well, I could just keep pushing this." What was the sign you looked for to know that this was real?
I think just selling the product, and people actually coming back and saying that it worked. I think that gave me the courage to, say, okay, let me keep doing this because they said that it works, right? One of the frustrations that I find with my customers are that when they are in a natural deodorant journey, and it is a journey, they don't often find that product that stops them from having odor. Or, even some of them are like, oh, I sweat a lot. And that is the purpose. Well, I don't want to say it's the purpose of natural deodorant, but natural deodorant does not have aluminum in it. So it doesn't stop you from sweating. However, if you find the right deodorant for you, it may have like tapioca starch or some sort of powder in there that can help absorb your sweat so that you don't feel as wet. And so therefore you found that product for you. But yeah, for me it was just knowing that my product actually worked, and that's what kept me going. And so from that first year of just selling, selling, selling and not knowing if I was making money, that's what kind of like lended me into, oh, I need some business help. Like I need to, let me do all the things that I didn't do, like develop a business plan. I didn't know anything about a business plan. That was, some of the sound bites that the score mentors mentioned, or um, looking at your profit and loss, and having balance sheets and stuff. So I took that second year to start learning like the foundational things of business. So I don't know if I did it backwards, or, or it's just all coming together.
I think it's awkward to get I just really I think there's a right, like, okay, so and you and I have, like, history, right? So when we met, you were at the time where you needed to be prioritizing what you were prioritizing. What
Okay.
you did that first year, I would say, is, like, the step that people skip over, which is, like, determining whether you have a viable business. A viable business means you actually have customers, like, people come back to you for this. Um, and I talk a lot like, even in our program for the lab, that's our ideation program. Do you know how many times I have to say viability is not everybody being like, "Girl, this is so good. Oh my god, this is amazing." Like, viability is not people giving you compliments. Viability is not being like, "Hey sis, you should that's a really good idea." That's not that you don't have a viable business or like selling it to your neighbors, friends, coworkers because they like care about you, want to support you that one time. That's not a
Right.
viable business. But when people come back to you for like when you have viability when somebody pays you, right?
Mhm.
Dollars. That
Right.
is that's like, okay, I might have something. And then when people come back to you, repeated customers, repeated people, or like new customers that you didn't have to beg or like inspire, they
Mhm.
really understood that you solved the problem that they were actually having and then they purchased your product. So I think you did that right step even before I mean, like, before you get an attorney, before you even get an LLC, before you do any of that, I think more people should do what you did that first year. They should prove whether this actually works, and they could do it over and over and over, and then go get structured, and then write the business plan.
I got
So,
you. And
I
actually
don't
with
know.
you saying it out loud, knowing, like, what your position is and the things that you do for other women, even other programs, right? They look at, "Oh, well, how much money are you making?" Da, 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 so I can see, outside of, like, a program that is just working on the idea of a business, how you would need, like you said, the data to come in and be like, okay, well, I can work with you now because I know the data. I know that people are actually buying your product versus, okay, can we brainstorm if this idea is going to work without even putting it out to the masses?
Yeah, we
Yeah, you're
waste a
right.
like, we waste a lot of money doing that, Nikki, and when you like for example, in your business, when you were making mistakes, yes, you were investing money in this, but also you could make mistakes and like iterate. You didn't go out and make 10,000 deodorants and then be like, okay.
Right. Uh-oh.
And then learn like, oh, wait, this actually doesn't work. Like that
Right.
just, I don't know. I don't want to I don't want to make anyone feel bad for the way they started business. I think we all start. And the key part is to learn from like to learn and then pivot, pause, do whatever makes the most sense. But I
Right.
do think, you don't give yourself enough credit for being a prototype. We're like, this is kinda how we're supposed to start businesses. You're supposed to test it, you're supposed to make it work, you're supposed to iterate, and then when you figure out, "I got something here," then you go out and you build a business around it. You
Gotcha.
you did that. So, when you started doing that, kind of what were some of the first things you did when you were like, "Okay, I need to build this into a business." What were some of the um, kind of steps you took to make things a little more official, to tighten things up for yourself?
For me, I looked at, I'm an aesthetics person, so I immediately went out and was like, "Ooh, what kind of container am I gonna use? Am I gonna use, let me look at some other." Well, I did get some advice from my dad. My dad was like, "Don't recreate the wheel." He
Mhm,
was like, "Go to the grocery store, look at other deodorants, look on the back of," because I was like, "I'm having a hard time finding a manufacturer." He goes, "Go look on the back of their labels and see who manufactured their stuff."
mhm.
And lo and behold, I did. I found somebody that was like local in Houston that had made, a product in the deodorant section. But yeah, just, looking at labels, how do I want to design this? Finding platforms to design it. How do I know that I want it to feel this way. And right now it feels sticky to me. How can I make it feel smoother? and I'm on the internet Googling, what product can I use to make this feel smoother and that's still safe for the skin? And things would pop up. And then, I'd order little bitty samples of those and formulate those in the kitchen and let them cure and sit, so it took time to, put it all together, let it sit, use it, have people use it, have my neighbors, everybody using the stuff. Let me know the first hour you get funky. Like, write it down. So that's really how I got going. And I only started with deodorant. However, and prior to the whole Coco Elan thing, I actually named my business Innate Co. That was what my business was gonna be named, and so my 3 old men SCORE mentors are like, "Nikki, you need to change your name." I was like, "Why?" Well, I did a quick search on the internet and put Innate in, and about 10 things came up, and I was like, "But it's my name, I paid for it." They were like, "I don't care." Change it. They said, because what happens is when you get big, they're gonna come after you and they're gonna sue you. And that was like a lesson learned for me. Like, I thought, if you go pay money and you put a name down, like, I'm thinking the database is up to date and it should know. And lo and behold, there's like 30 other innates on there. Um, so anyway, I had to change my name.
So you, like, got the formula right. You sounds like you got the packaging and presentation of it right. Um,
Right.
you were getting feedback. You also, like, got the name right. Yeah. Is there, like did you then go, like, when you wrote this business plan, did you just go write the business plan? What is the kinda step you took, kinda on the back end of the business? Give us some insight into that.
I still didn't have a business plan at that point. Um, the plan didn't come until like year 2.
Mhm.
And even with that, it was still an internet search. Like, what do I put in this section? What do I put here? So it wasn't my words and, my vision. It was, just let me hurry up and get something together because, as you know, maybe different grants or different things that you may apply for may say, okay, we want you to send a copy of this. And so, I'm having to quickly develop certain things and that was another way that I learned how to add on things to my business, like, having a DUNS number and having, it was from applying for grants or applying for ways to get help and to get money. That was the only way I knew. So I often say, girl, you need to write a little ebook because I'm sure all the stuff that you had to do to develop your, business, the same person, somebody out there is like, where do I start? Like, I don't know. And I'm sure there's some stuff out there, but still, just to write those steps down.
Yeah. I'm sure it's somewhere out there, and also, I think there's, like, no comprehensive way to capture it, to
Mhm.
me, and maybe now we have AI, so there is, but I feel like for every business, there's these different things that you need based on, like, your business model, based on who you try to sell to, like, all the things. And I think that's one of the challenges of having, like, a one-stop shop type of resource, but I don't know.
Right.
I have not tried to make it and don't plan on it, so, God bless the person who does. Let's talk about, one of the things that I know was, like, a big, kind of pivotal moment for you, which was hiring a manufacturer. Um, what let's first talk about the decision. Like, what made you move from, like, I can make all of the products myself, which I know is, like, deeply personal for you, to then let me find somebody who can help me. What triggered that? Kinda talk about, like, the decision that you had to wrestle with or not, when you were doing that.
So it was a couple of things. Of course, making my product takes time. I'm in my kitchen. I'm using, a space in my home, that I share with my husband, my son. And so the busier I became with my business, meaning, more sales, it got a little time consuming. And so I was like, okay, I need relief. Like, can I get somebody else to do this? And that's when I did the search to find someone that was able to produce a low MOQ, which is the minimum order quantity, right?
Mhm,
There is a place that makes like natural products in Austin that I had researched, but you had to order like 10,000 deodorants.
mhm,
And so at minimum, someone's going to charge you about $4 or $5 per. So I had to have 50,000 up automatically. But was I selling 10,000 deodorants at that time? No. So I would have been housing all this stuff that I would have had to push. And so I did find someone had a low MOQ, and that's when I reached out so that I can get some help
mhm,
um, to produce my product. But the other part of that, as far as looking for a manufacturer, also when I looked at, oh, I would want to be in Target or I want to be on someone else's shelf, like, HEB. Those are some of the things that I saw, like just listening in on they may have had like a little program or a webinar or something that said, this is what you need to do to be retail ready. And so one of the things was to have a manufacturer, right? And so that was just kind of that two-part deal where I was like, well, eventually I'm going to have somebody under my belt. So let me get started. And that's how I got there.
so what did you not know going into the relationship with your manufacturer that you wished you would have known?
So one of the lessons that I feel like I learned with going with the manufacturer is knowing what the facility looked like. Someone told me that, you always want to know what a facility looks like that's going to produce your product. And, you never know if they have roaches or, just whatever. It just may not be a sanitary situation to produce your products. I would say another thing is it's a partnership, like it's like a legal partnership. So you're signing contracts. And whatever they're producing for you, if you agree to it, it even if it's not right, it's a legal contract. So you just got to make sure that you're looking at all the fine print so that okay, is this the right partnership for me? And in the situation that I was in with the first manufacturer that I was in partnership with, we established, my formula. My formula was established. My IP was established. Um, she was producing my formula for me, and it was fine. It was fine until it wasn't.
Mm,
But it came to a point where she produced my product for me. I I picked it up, and whenever I picked it up, it's like the approval process, right? And I told her, I was like, hey, the formula looks really soft. Like something is not right. And her response was, well, I followed the formula. And so she was like, well, let's meet up. Let's talk about it. She brought her computer. We're looking at the formula. I'm like, yeah, that's the formula, but there's a difference. I don't know what happened. And in talking with her, she divulged that she changed the beeswax vendor.
mm,
And so looking back, it was like, okay, that's something. If I ever get into another contract with someone, I got to make sure that if they change anything that wasn't approved, that they have to give me notification. Right? Because that's just I'm learning. I'm learning on the job. And, and from her aspect, it was, oh, we changed the vendor because we felt like they were putting paraffin wax in there and it wasn't natural and da 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 da. But however, you changed my formula. Like
mhm,
now it's softer. So what do I do with that? And I'm in this between a rock and a hard place because I am buying ingredients from you, right? Because I
mhm,
want to be in alignment with what you're producing, and whenever you're slacking or if your lead time is too great for my customer demand, I have to produce at home. But now I can't use those said products because the formula is going to come out too soft because you've changed it. So that was that was a big, hard dilemma for me. And, was it a situation where I felt like, oh God, I'm going to shut down um, for the rest of my life and never do this again? No, I did shut down my business though for a couple of months because I couldn't send that product out to customers. They would have been sending it back to me. They would have been posting, she changed her formula, so
Mhm.
because all of that falls on me.
Yeah.
Falls on me.
It's important for I think it's just important for founders to know that outsourcing helps you, right? Like you said, it was time. It was time. You needed it because you wanted to get more funding. You needed it because you were tired because it was taking up space. And that's the way you scale, right? You need outsource. And also like your product now is like the quality of it is still on you. Like the brand protection is still on you. Uh
Exactly.
and I think it was like I'm listening to you and I'm like, "Man, I know how you feel about your products." So I can't even imagine the, like, curse words that were happening in your brain. Or maybe out loud, I don't know.
Right. Well, you feel like you're in this position where will I ever be able to fully let a manufacturer produce this for me turnkey and send this out to, you know, other said partnerships if I am in HEB or wherever,
Mhm.
without me having to be the middleman. And I can't say that, so then it poses the question, you know, did you ever foresee yourself having like a big warehouse where you still overseeing stuff?
Mhm.
Like, I don't know what it's supposed to look like, but right now, like I gotta do the checks and balances before it go out. I gotta look at it. I gotta feel it. I gotta, is this presentable? Is this representative of me?
Mhm.
Because nobody, even though you need help, a lot of people are not going to, that they're not just gonna do the job that you do.
Yep.
So, but I could
You
train somebody.
unless you train somebody, is that what you said?
Right, yes.
Yeah. What is it that like say for instance tomorrow, right? Like you get this opportunity, HEB calls you tomorrow and they're like, we want Coco Elan on our shelves. Been through this experience now with the manufacturer. You know you're going to need a manufacturer going into this. What's the move, Nikki? Like how do you set yourself up so that you don't fall into this again? Is there safeguards you put in place? Is there something that you're already doing that you're like, I would just keep doing that? How do you prepare for the big opportunity?
I don't really feel like I can ultimately all the way prepare anymore. Just to be honest.
Mhm.
I'm currently working with a new manufacturer, and we're still work in progress, just kinda seeing how things pan out, lead times, communication time, being able to get the products in my hand after it's completed and it's ready to go. Like I said, all the checks and balances. However, I did also learn that if I think if you don't have a manufacturer with some companies, they may recommend or they may have a partnership with one. They're not going to divulge it if you're not, on their shelves. But I think that is an option. Um,
Mhm.
so, I hate to say it, it might be a wait and see for right now, but I am working on a relationship with a manufacturer. But I'm also still seeking other manufacturers because I felt like having that one was not enough. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like I needed, like, if this one doesn't fall through or if this one is not, coming through right now, then I can go to the next one and still keep things moving. Also to your point, I'm sorry. Also to your point, I I wouldn't set myself up to be like, "Oh yeah, I'm ready to supply 100 locations." No. I'd be like, "Hey, can I start in maybe 5 stores or a couple of stores?" And I think that could be a better, option depending on where you are in your business. And for me, in my business, if that's the situation for right now, I think those could be the options.
Nikki, I love that. Like,
Oh,
it's not go big or go home in business. There's, like, a discipline. I think we get, like sometimes I talk about shiny object syndrome, so people get distracted all the time. I think there's also, like, shiny opportunity syndrome where you're like, "Oh my god, it's such a big opportunity. I have to, like, go all in on it." And I actually think that's, like, it's savvy. It is smart. It is strategic. It's all the things. It's wise to say, "Hold up. Thank you for this huge opportunity, and also what I'm able to handle is this." And I don't see enough of us doing that. I think sometimes we put ourselves in positions where we see this big opportunity, so we feel like we have to go all in on it and do whatever it takes to accomplish it. And I'm
right.
like, that's actually, like, counter to our own productivity and, like, bad business. Like, you put and I've done it before. Like, I've done it, so I'm not being judgmental. All eggs in the big basket and been like,
Right.
"Oh, my basket has a big hole in the bottom." But I love that you said, "No," I would probably say, "Can I get it?" I can't do 100 stores or, like, maybe 5.
Mhm. Yeah.
What how do you answer to the people that are like, "Girl, I cannot believe you didn't take that." What do you say to those people? What's the Nikki response to that? You should have took
Ugh.
that.
The Nikki response would be, "You know what? It just wasn't my time, but it doesn't mean that it won't happen."
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
I I I believe in my products. So, yeah, I don't feel like this missed opportunity here is gonna set me up for the rest of my life. Like, something gonna come through, and I just gotta keep believing.
Love that. I think you wanna keep believing, but I think, again, what you're doing well is you are, like, looking at the data, you understand what the business can handle, you're involved in the business, so you it's not that you just care about the business, your involvement in the business is such that it's, like, moving the brand forward, moving the product quality forward, moving the sales forward, and it doesn't need to be multi-million dollars today. There's some discipline in that that I think is just really wise. It's why, like, you're one of my favorite business owners. Uh, we've been talking about capacity, right? Like, I'm gonna say this in, like, a non-judgmental way because I stay hands-on in everything. I'm hands-on in everything. But where
Right.
do you feel like you might be too involved in the business today? Like, you're like, "I probably need to get my hands out of this a little bit and really give that over to somebody else or hire someone for that."
Marketing for sure. It's not in my ministry. And I don't want to say it's not in my ministry. Whenever I am creative and can do a little video, I'm like, oh, I did that. That was cute. But to be consistent, it just the batching needs to be done. It needs to be scheduled out. I do have like some technical hiccups with Meta, but outside of that, marketing is definitely important. I do feel like now that I have trained, I have hired someone to help just kind of the operational side to do like some of the products. Like sometimes I'm able to let that person just do it and I can do other things while that person's doing it. And so that has helped out a lot. So yeah, making the product, because I'm still the overseer for now. Like I can still say, oh, okay, that look good, we good, just the checks and balances. So and essentially that's what the manufacturer is doing, and they doing it in a whole nother city. So I don't check it until it's done. So yeah.
There's you've heard me say this, like, in our program, like, there's some safeguards we have to put in place, like processes and systems we have to put in place so we can step away from the business. Like, because things happen. So for you, like, I know this is something that you're still, like, wrestling with, but I want us to, like, talk about it a little bit. Like, what happens if you have to leave and step away from the business for 30 days? Like, how are you thinking about that? And what does that mean for you? If I'm like, tomorrow, you gotta step away for 30 days. What then?
What then? Yeah, it would suffer a little bit. Like I said, I did hire someone, but they don't have the full access of everything, right? And so those are the challenges and the things that are still on my plate that, still need addressing so that if said thing does happen, hey, I got these in place and things can just kind of fall in line and be done. Yeah. Um, I don't have all the right answers for everything. And this is one of those things, but that is it's a great question. It's a great thing to keep I don't want to say even in the back of my mind, but in the forefront, because it's life, right?
Yeah.
It's life. Oh,
I mean, I ask you that question and bring it up because so many, like, business owners are wrestling with that. And I think in the phase of business you're in, it's the thing that you need to be wrestling with. Like, you book a business, you have to be in on the front end of it. Like, kinda the places and ways that you're spending your time, you need to be doing that. You identify, like, marketing is a place where you need to be more consistent, so, like, you probably need help there, but we all are building businesses, and, like, most business owners are building businesses where it's like, if I stepped away for 30 days, even if I'm not doing the day to day, it still would hinder the business.
hmm.
Uh, so I'm not asking you that out of judgment. I'm asking you that, because I'm wondering how you're thinking about it. So don't feel judgment from me, sis, because everybody's working on
No,
it.
yeah. No,
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
oh, what did you let's, like, talk a little bit about money and margins and, like, just the, like, business reality.
Ooh.
Uh, what's something that like, 'cause you brought it up earlier, like, if people are comparing me to native, then maybe I should be like, charging like native, you know?
Mm.
So talk a little bit about your like, maybe places that you misunderstood or misunderstandings that you had about pricing and margins, maybe in the beginning, maybe even still today, and how you're, like, reconciling that, for you in the business.
Pricing has always been a struggle for me just because I didn't know what all was supposed to be in it. And then, knowing what to not put in it so that you don't price yourself out, right? And I say that from, speaking to you or another mentor, but like not knowing that my labor should be in the price, right? Because truth be told, I've been working for free for a while, but
Mhm.
it's just not knowing how to price. And of course, I can go on, Chat GPT or wherever and try and figure it out, but it's still something that I am playing with. Um, but overall, I think I'm learning a little bit better about the pricing as far as just trying to make money. And not this not being a hobby for me. Let's just say that, right? It is a profitable business. And so I know you and I did work on a session together looking at, costs and just margins. And I was surprised. I was like, oh, I am like this is profitable, like, so I've learned through people who are, a little bit more advanced in that area as far as pricing. But yeah, it's still a struggle for me. So it's definitely something that I feel like I may have to outsource a little bit to just kind of get my numbers right so that I am, getting the best profit margin for me and my business.
Yeah. Let's talk about that day a little bit because I do remember that day. We're like, look at the spreadsheet, and I was like, you already are profitable. What at the time was we were looking at the numbers. There was a reality to it, right? Like the numbers were telling us a story, but your experience was telling you a different story. So
Right.
a little bit about like why was it shocking for you? Kind of what did you learn when we were looking at the numbers and like what shifted for you when you saw it?
Okay, so just from like a general aspect for me, not looking at my numbers, not looking at my profits, not looking at my losses, and just working and selling. I would just look at my bank account. And so I knew where my bank account started. And then I would look at it again, just randomly, not even like methodically, but just randomly. And I'm like, oh, it's dipping. Oh, I gained a little. Oh, it's dipping. So, like that roller coaster that I talked about earlier, that's what I saw, but not being in the thick of an actual balance sheet and looking at, cost of goods and all that stuff. And so when you did the session with me and just kind of did it so simple, I don't know what you did, a little magic in the spreadsheet. But one thing I learned from you when you did that, you were like, okay, let's look at your expenses. Because for me, I'm thinking, oh, if I ever get an order, it needs to be ready. Like I need to have that product on hand, right? So I was buying things for products that may not have been selling as well that month, right? And so I was spending too much. And so you helped me realize that, no, 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 like you have about 100 products sitting right now. We need to push these products. And if you sell these products, you can make this amount of money without even having to spend any more money and expense anything. And so that was like a big lesson for me. Like that was that aha moment, right? I was about to sing it, but no. That was that moment for me. I was like, oh, okay. Like be patient. Like, it's um the lip balm or whatever may not be selling this month. It's okay. You got a little bit of inventory. Let's sell that and before you go spending more money on it. So
That day was, like, the best day. It was the best day. Sometimes I do those exercises with people, and I realize there's, like, an absorbent amount of money that they're losing, and they don't even realize they're losing this amount of money. And I'm like,
right.
I don't even know how you're still functioning in business, right?"
Right.
And so that reality is real also, but I think what you had was, like, you had all of these things that were working. Like, you had products that were selling, you had, you knew the channels that were selling and why, and you kinda just understood all the data of it. So when we crunched the numbers, there was no magic, there was just, like, for real math, that's all that. I wish I could say I was, like, doing something that was amazing. Bro, you got my, like whenever we learned how to use Excel, back in the '90s,
Right.
that's what you got. But I think what was beautiful about what you were able to see that day and the aha moment you had was that you actually were a profitable business. And that
Yeah.
the things that you were doing were working. You just needed to double down on what was working and not do more things.
Right.
And I was telling somebody, like in another session, we were in a growth session, and she was talking about growth, and I was like, sometimes more just means more. I think more means bigger, more means brighter, more means like things that actually like are vanity metric type things, like more followers. I'm like, no, more means more money, sis. Like that just sister, more
Yes.
more money.
Exactly.
Make more, spend less. That's like and I think we get caught up in that, right? Like, I need to have a variety of products. I need to be doing this campaign. I need to and it's so easy to get caught up
Mhm.
in that. So doing that exercise with you that day, it was just I love that for you because I was like, "Look at the numbers." The numbers are actually, like, so positive. So positive.
'Cause I was so sensitive about them numbers. I was like, "Oh, I'm not making enough money."
You're right. I don't know, I'm just spending so much money, and I was like, "I know." Calm down, Nikki.
Oh
So,
gosh.
let's shift from the business to you as a leader. How has your, like, identity changed from, like, a few years ago when you started this to now? Like, how does this change Nikki?
Cool. Well, now that I've hired somebody, I see in myself that Like, okay, look, well, actually, I see myself in this person, right? Like, because when I first started formulating my products, it's new to you, and so like I was, making my little mistakes or for whatever it is, and so and when she does, she's like, "Oh my god, I made this mistake," and I'm just like looking, I'm like, "Oh my god, this is so me." But I see the patience in me, and I'm just like, "It's okay." Like, we girl, it looked good, like so I just feel like I'm just a little bit so much more patient, and because I have help, and so I'm not as stressed out, and all of that just kind of I feel like just being I don't wanna say the mentor for her for my business, but for her to, do my products for me, it's allowing me to see myself and, "Okay, I can do this. I got one person under my belt. If I get, 5, 10 more, I can do this and balance my life and still, do things with my husband and my son and not be stressed out because now I've put these operations and systems in place and they got it now. I'm encouraging them and they feel comfortable with me. And it's a good vibe. It's a good energy. And yeah, it's kind of helping me see myself fast forward. So,
Yeah. I love that you say that because, like, what I actually hear you saying is when we hire,
mhm.
we
We're going
actually
higher. Yes.
when we hire, we actually get a chance like, we become more free,
Yes.
right? People talk to me a lot about, like, living the soft life. I hate that when you and I talk about that. Like, I've talked about this before with lots of people. I'm like, "B if you want the soft life, don't become an entrepreneur." That's
Oh
why.
man.
Um, don't become an entrepreneur.
Right.
And also what I think we mean is we want more choices and we want more options about how to spend our time. That's what I really when we say we want the soft life, is I'm like, I take a nap every day, but I do not live a soft life. I don't live a soft life, not in this. All that we want more choice, we want more freedom, we want more leisure, whatever leisure looks like to us. And what I hear you saying is when you hire, you get to actually you could see that you could do that. You get
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I just the
Yes.
everybody listening, I'm just trying to get Nikki to, like, hear herself saying that, and I wanna have evidence of it because I've been saying this to her. But also, I see you becoming, what I get to see from the outside looking in, like, I get to see you becoming a CEO of the company. I think you have sized and, like, operated like a CEO more than you give yourself credit for, and some of those early decisions were actually executive decisions. And also, I think because you're starting to, like, get out of the day-to-day of it, you hired the manufacturer, you have someone else helping you, you're able to see across the business and kind of zoom out in a way you weren't able to before. So I get to
Right.
see you, like, really moving like a CEO. When did you maybe you don't yet, but when did you start seeing yourself as a CEO and not the person making products in the business? And maybe you still don't, I don't know, girl. Do you see yourself as a CEO?
I probably will say once I hired because, now I am, quote unquote overseeing someone, plus overseeing other areas. I mean, now it's like, okay, you can do this part and then I'll do this part. I'll make these decisions. Um, definitely getting more partnerships, starting to see myself as a CEO because now I got to make those decisions. Oh, the product isn't right. Okay, now I got to meet with this person and discuss it. And, they're coming with, well, this is what I can do. And I'm like, well, this is what I want. Like it's those types of decisions and choices and things that I have to make that, yeah, that I've definitely this year, I felt like I have put that hat on and I'm getting more comfortable with that hat.
Mhm. It looks good on you. I like seeing you like that.
Yeah.
Um, there are people out there every day that are like, "Oh, I wanna start a beauty brand. I want to, like, build a company where, this product has worked for me. I wanna help other women or help other people feel the way I felt." But what's something about building a beauty brand that people don't wanna hear. Like, they don't wanna hear this when they're super excited and passionate. What would you say?
Oh, well, get ready to invest time because it's gonna take time and patience. Time and patience, whether if you initially start off with a manufacturer or start off with somebody creating a formula for you, you still have to do those checks and balances and make sure that the product is up to your standard. Make sure that it's something that people are going to want to buy. Make sure that, it's I don't know if I said if it's profitable, but I mean, it's still there. Besides just the passion of it, it still requires systems and operations. It still requires structure, like even for a beauty brand. And then you have to think about, okay, I got to make sure that whatever this is, it's not going to break nobody out. You listening to feedback, and it might, I get things they're like, oh, this little thing happened. And I'm like, okay, well, it could be this, One thing I found out that customers really appreciate is communication, authenticity. So, communicate that stuff on your website. If you're talking to them in person, help troubleshoot it there. But it's to see all the wins and the beauty and the products, it's beautiful, but it takes time to develop a brand and something that people will say, "Hey, I want to buy that because XYZ." Um, so and then the biggest part, like they say on Shark Tank, is it's better when you're solving a problem, right? So
Everybody wants to start a beauty brand because they feel passionate about whatever they're building, and I love that you say it takes time and that it needs to solve a problem. Like, because it solved your problem doesn't mean it's solving a problem that the market has, and people forget that part, because they get wrapped up in passion. You went through a couple of programs. I know you went through one of our or 2 of ours for She Can Work, but I know you also went through another at least one other one that I know of. What did those programs do for you? Like, if people are listening to this and they are, like, someone who's building a program or someone who's considering a program, what's the benefit of and, like, maybe, like, give me some specifics of things that transformed in your business because you participated in a program?
I saw it
Hours.
on a program. Yeah, I saw it on a program because, like I said, for the first year, all I did was sell, 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 and I just didn't know anything about business. So I was like, let me learn about business, right? And so I specifically sought out programs, that, someone referred me to that said, hey, this person did this program and I saw their business scale or I saw their business grow. So I was like, okay, well, let me see what that business is talking about. But once I got into said businesses or cohorts, some of the things that were done in those programs were, on a weekly basis, they may bring in another resource or another person, another business owner, and have different topics, maybe talking about how to scale your business or marketing. And so you're learning different aspects of business through these different cohorts, how to pitch your business, and so I think just depending on what your need is at the time, I think the programs as a whole are great just to kind of tap you into the different areas of what you may need for your business. But whatever is specific for you at that moment, then you may need to kind of hone in on that specific thing and maybe find a mentor or a person to kind of really work with you on whatever that is. Um, and so whether it's another program or if you did, a free mentor or, going to the SBA or whatever you need, I would say just kind of hone in on what you need for your business at that time because some of the programs they kind of just tap on them on a weekly basis. And so something you may need a little bit more time on, like you're like, I really want to start pitching my business and really learn how to do it. You may only talk about it for that week and then they're moving on to something else. So
Yeah. I think so, like, one of the programs that you participated in, I spoke to the person who was coordinating the program at the time you were doing it,
Okay.
because we went from our program to theirs. And one thing that I said about you and that she agreed with was you were so focused on what your business needed, and that is why the programs were working for you. Um, I think sometimes people go in and they get this blanketed they take a blanketed approach to participation, meaning like, "This program's gonna fix my business, and I'm gonna learn everything I need to." But I think something you did in the first program you were in with me and then that second program, that other organization, is you identify what you needed at that time, and that's, like you just said, what you focused on. And I don't think enough business owners are doing that. I think we're going looking for answers to
Right.
broad stroke questions, and I'm like, "No, individual, and you won't get anywhere everything that you need."
Exactly.
I think you've done that well. My last question for you is where is Coco Elan going? Like, what's next?
Oh. To the world. I mean, it to look to infinity. Um, Coco Lawn, for me, I have a couple of things that, I've thought about. Early on in my business, I was like, oh yeah, I want to be on the shelves. I want to be, in the grocery store. I want to be where people buy deodorant. That's and so that is still in my brain. But I've also kind of tapped into I do still want to be, in those other areas like, hotels. Like that now that I've started developing like little mini products of my products, I'm like, man, this would be a really good marriage, just to because as a hotel or a boutique hotel, you can supply whatever you want. Normally they supply the soap, the shampoo, the body gel, whatever, but that could help them stand out. They supply like a little mini deodorant and a handmade soap. Those two really are on my list for the short term in the near future. Yeah.
Edit for you. Like I said, I get the opportunity to see things from the outside in. I don't see the everyday of the business. I just get to kind of see the evolution. And you tell me things. So I've always been blessed and honored that you trust me.
Oh,
The story that I'm getting to watch unfold, I'm like, uh, it's amazing, and watching you kind of evolve. I think you have a lot of this coming in, to our relationship, but I think watching it evolve and watching you come into yourself as a business owner has been, like, a true pleasure, and I'm always in awe of you.
thank
You know,
you,
I
friend.
uh, well, Nikki my girl, but also Nikki's that girl. Nikki's that girl. So, I hope you
I'll
know
take
it.
it.
Yeah, I hope you know it and keep living it, and I appreciate you, like, having this conversation and sharing so vulnerably because you always do, but I think other people will be blessed because they got a chance to hear you, so thank you for being on the podcast.
Yes, and thank you for having me. And I'm so glad it was you. You just make me feel so comfortable.
I love you, girl.
You too.